வணக்கம் நண்பர்களே, இது உங்கள் V.Palanichamy. நம்ம NCERT book based questions, multiple choice questions பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கோம். அந்த வகையில் 6th standard 9th chapter science methods of separation in everyday life நம்ம ஏற்கனவே பேசியிருக்கோம். ஸோ அந்த புக்கோட சாப்டர் நீங்கள் முதல்ல படிக்கணும். படித்து அதை ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கிட்டு அப்புறம் யூ ஹாவ் டு கோ த்ரூ தி கொஸ்டின்ஸ் நம்ம பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஸோ let's see. Now I'll show the chapter, how the chapter looks. So this is what the chapter looks. Methods of separation in everyday life. Methods of separation in everyday life. That's the 9th chapter in 6th standard science. Okay. So now we'll see the points, then questions. Right? Fine. So separation of substances in everyday life. Why separation is needed? To remove harmful and unwanted materials, stones from rice, and obtain useful components, that is butter from curd, and to cut pure substance, that is salt, from seawater. Then common separation methods, it's like hand picking, used when the components are large and easily visible. Example, removing stones or insects from the rice or pulses. B. Threshing, used to separate grains from stalks, done by beating or animals and thresher mains. Okay. Then winnowing, that's like used to separate heavier grains from lighter husk and chaff. Then wind blows away their light husk and heavier grains fall down. That's called winnowing. It's done through machine also nowadays. Then sieving, used to separate solids of different sizes. Example like sieving flour and remove bran and pebbles. Also used at the construction site in separation of sand and stones. Then sedimentation, the process of heavier particles settle down in the bottom of the liquid mixture. Example, sand settling in the bottom of muddy water. And decantation, so like pouring out the clear liquid after sedimentation. Example, separation of oil from water, since oil floats on the water. Next is filtration, used to separate insoluble solid and liquid using filter. Example, separating mud from muddy water and tea leaves from tea. And filter paper, muslin cloth, sand, charcoal can act as a filter. And evaporation, so used to obtain dissolved solids from the liquid by heating. So that is what we get salt from the seawater. Only solid, that is solid, is required. Solvent liquid is lost in the vapor. Churning, that's like centrifuge. So used to separate lighter or butter cream from heavier buttermilk. Example, churning curd to make butter. And magnetic separation, used when the component is magnetic, iron, nickel and cobalt. Example, removing iron nails from the sawdust. Then combination of methods, like some mixture needs 2 or 3 methods to complete separation, that is sedimentation, decantation and filtration of muddy water. Then soluble, insoluble substances, soluble substances that dissolve in the solvent, that example salt in water. Insoluble, do not dissolve, that is sand in water. Then water purification, let's think this section. So how it's being done? Steps in clean drinking water. Sedimentation, let impurities settle. Filtration, filter and clear water. And boiling, kill germs and make it potable. Right? Then evaporation in daily life. Drying cloths, drying fish, and making salt, all involve evaporation and happens faster under sunlight or wind. And summary, method based on example, hand picking, appearance and size, stones from rice. Threshing, weight and attachment, grains from stalk. Winnowing, weight, wind action, and husk from wheat. Sieving, particle size, bran from flour. And sedimentation, sedimentation, density and sand from water. Decantation and density and layering and oil from water. Right? So then further, and method and based on filtration, solubility and mud from water. Evaporation, volatility, salt from seawater. Churning, density, butter from curd. Magnetic separation, magnetism, iron nails from sand. And key terms which he read it: mixture, combination of two or more substances; pure substance, made only one kind of material; soluble, can dissolve in a solvent; insoluble, cannot dissolve in a solvent; residue, the solid left on the filter paper; and filtrate, the liquid that passes through the filter. And real life connections: and rack pickers and recycles use separation and sort of waste material; farmers use threshing, winnowing and sieving during the harvest. So these are things. And then of course, and household filtration, decantation, green water. And key learnings, like different mixers need different methods of separation. Each method uses physical properties: size, weight, density, solubility and magnetism. Then some process like evaporation and filtration held in obtaining pure substances, and water purification involves multiple steps for best results, right? So these are the notes, right? And following the multiple choice questions. So we'll go through the multiple choice questions. There are around 48 questions, I think, around 50 questions. So maybe 30 minutes will take, like, fine. The first question: when an animal moves in its location as a season changes, it's called migration, movement, displacement, immigration. It is migration. It is migration. It's a seasonal movement of animals find favorable conditions called migration. Next, the process of separation where heavier grains fall back and lighter husk is blown away. It's called winnowing, sieving, filtration, decantation. It is called winnowing. Explanation: winnowing uses wind or blowing air to separate lighter and heavier components. And third question: the process of beating stalks to separate grains is called as threshing, sieving, sedimentation, magnetic separation. The correct answer is threshing. So threshing separates grains from the stalks by beating. And fourth question: so which one of the following is used to remove bran flour? Right? Spoon, sieve, magnet, filter paper. It is sieve. Explanation: sieve allows a fine fur to pass through while the larger bran remain. And fifth question: which method separates cream, butter from curd? Filtering, churning, decantation, winnowing. The correct answer is churning. Churning agitates and curd separate from butter, right? From buttermilk. Fine. So sixth question: which method will help remove iron nails from sawdust? Filtration, magnetic separation, sieving, sedimentation. Correct answer is magnetic separation. So the magnet attracts, removes iron objects and from the non-metallic or magnetic materials. Fine. Then seventh question: consider the wrong statement about separation method. Sieving separates a solid based on size. Decantation can completely purify the liquid from all suspended solids. And filtration uses porous medium and separate solids from liquids. And magnetic separation removes magnetic substances from mixtures. Answer is B. Decantation can completely purify the liquid from suspended solids. Explanation: it's a wrong statement. Decantation removes most settled solid but does not completely remove the suspended particles. So for that, filtration is needed, right? And eighth question: which pair is correctly matched? Winnowing removes lighter husk from grain. Filtration separates dissolved salt from water. Magnetic separation separates sand from water. Evaporation separates iron from sawdust. And answer is A. Winnowing removes lighter husk from grains. Explanation: winnowing separates lighter and heavier components by wind. The other options methods are incorrect. Fine. Then ninth question: which one is, again, it's a wrongly matched. Decantation removing oil from water when layers are present. Filtration removing mud from the water using filter paper. Sieving separating salt from the water from the dissolved water from water. Then magnetic separation removing iron from mixed heap. So the wrong answer is sieving, the separating salt water from the water. No, it is salt water. It's done by evaporation or distillation, right? So this is a wrong statement. And 10th question: a farmer threshed a bundle of wheat and after winnowing collected grains. Statement 1, threshing separates grains from straw. Statement 2, winnowing separates grain from husk. Both are true, only one true, only two true, both are false. The correct answer is both are true. Of course, the threshing removes the grain from stalk and winnowing separates husk from the heavier grains. So both statements are true. 11th question. A sieve with a larger holes than the floor particles will allow bran to pass through. Statement 1. The sieve holes must be smaller than the bran. Statement 2. The sieve hole should be larger than the bran. So, A, 1 is true, 2 is false. 1 is false, 2 is true. Both are true and both are false. The correct answer is statement 1 is true, statement 2 is false. The explanation, to retain bran, holes must be smaller than the bran and larger holes would let bran also pass through. So, statement 2 is false. Right? Fine. And 12th question. Which of the following are correct about evaporation methods? Yeah, it separates from dissolved soil from solution. It can recover both solvent and soluble easily without further equipment. It involves converting liquid into vapor and it is used to obtain common salt from seawater. So correct answer A, 1 and 3 only. B, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3 and 4 only. C, 2 and 4 only, all 4. The correct answer is 1, 3 and 4. 1, 3 and 4. That is first one and third and fourth. Right? So the explanation is evaporation converts liquid into vapor and leaves a dissolved solid. Obtaining both salt and water requires a distillation, not a simple evaporation. Right? Fine. Then 13th question. Consider the following statements about filtration. Filtration uses pores to separate solid and liquid. Filter paper has finer pores than cloth. And filtration can remove dissolved salt from water. So charcoal can act as a filter material. So what are these wrong statements? 3 only, 1 and 4 only, 2 and 3 only, 3 and 4 only. So answer is 3 only. That is third one. The filtration can remove dissolved salt from water is a wrong statement, right? So the filtration removes insoluble particles, dissolved salt pass through and then are not removed by alternate filtration. Charcoal, filter paper difference and pore difference all are correct. So that's a wrong statement. And 14th question, assertion. Tea leaves in hot tea can be separated by filtration. Reason, filter paper has a pore smaller than tea leaves. Both A and R are true or explains A. B, A and R are true or does not explain A. A true or false, A false or true. The correct answer is A. Both A and R are true or explains A. So explanation is the filtration works because the pores of filter paper in the soft tea leaves while letting the liquid pass through. Right? 15th question. Assertion. Winnowing can be performed indoors easily. Reason. Winnowing depends on directed air or wind current. Assertion. A true or explains A. Both are true or does not explain. And C. A is false, R is true, both are false. The correct answer is A is false, R is true. A is false, R is true. The winnowing is typically needs a directed air current, window or wind are blowing, and indoors without air wind is not easy. Fine. And 16th question. Match the column 1 with 1, 2. Seeing magnetic separation, evaporation and decantation. Remove A. Remove sand from floor, obtain salt from seawater, separate sand from sawdust and then separates oil from the water. So the correct answer is A, that is 1A, that is 1. Seeing is remove sand from floor, and the second one is C. Second is magnetic separation, separate iron from sawdust, and third is B, that is evaporation. It's obtain salt from seawater, and decantation, separate oil from the water. Right? So that's it. Then 17th question. Which of these are correctly matched? Filtration uses filter paper to separate insoluble from liquid. Sedimentation, heavier particles settle down in bottom. Churning used to separate salt from seawater. Winnowing used to separate dissolved solids from liquid. Choose the correct answer. A and B are tried, P and C only, and A and C only, A and B only correctly. That is A and B only. A and B only. The filtration and sedimentation descriptions are correct, and churning is a butter from curd, and winnowing is the lighter versus heavier solids, not dissolved solid. Right? So that's the answer. Then 18th question. Which of the following is a wrongly matched? Thresher, machine for threshing, winnowing, and simultaneously. Filter paper used for filtration with a larger pores than muslin. And the scoop, that is bamboo tree, and used for winnowing. And salt pans used for obtain salt from seawater evaporation. So answer is B. That's the wrong one. Filter paper used for filtration with larger pores than muslin. Actually, the filter paper generally has a finer pores than the muslin cloth. So the statement is wrong. And 19th question. Arrange steps to obtain the salt water. Collect seawater in shallow pans. Right? Allow water to evaporate under sun. Further purifies solid left behind. Then store purified salter. So this order is correct order only. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 is the correct order. Okay. So normally we collect seawater, then evaporate the water and purify remaining solid. Then you store the salt. Fine. And 20th question. Which is the odd one out? The context of separation or rotation in centrifugal. Milk churning, threshing, sieving, decantation. So it is a sieving is a totally different, because churning, threshing, decantation involve motion, but sieving is just purely size based, holes out, right? So that's what they different. Fine. 21st question. Again odd man out. Methods. Evaporation, filtration, distillation, crystallization. So here it's a filtration, because filtration separates insoluble solid from the liquid, right? Fine. 22nd question. Which of these everyday activities best demonstrates hand picking? Using magnet to collect nails, removing whole black pepper in the plow by hand, filtering muddy water through paper, and evaporating seawater. So of course it's the removing whole black pepper by hand. It's like removing whole black pepper from plow by hand, because it's a hand picking method, right? Fine. 23rd question. In the peanut rubbing and blowing activity, which physical property allows separation? Magnetic property, difference in density and weight, and solubility, chemical name. It is the difference in density and weight. So lighter peanut skins blow away from the, while heavier peanut remain due to density and weight difference. Fine. 24th question. A farmer uses thresher machine, which two operations does? Two operations does it combine? Sieving, filtering, threshing, winnowing, evaporation, condensation, magnetic separation, sedimentation. It is threshing and winnowing. Threshing and winnowing. Right? Modern thresher separates grains from the stalk and remove husk from it. So it's simultaneously happening. And 25th question. To separate sand from water, sandy water, which two methods in order to get clear water? Sieving, then evaporation, filtering and then decantation, sedimentation and filtration, magnetic separation and filtration. The correct answer is sedimentation, then filtration. So the explanation: first allow the sand to settle in the sedimentation, then decant, remove the top liquid, then filter remaining suspended particles in a clean water. Fine. Then 26th question. Why do tea makers sometimes let a tea settle before pouring into cups? To cool the tea, to allow the tea leaves to settle, that is sedimentation, then decant, and to dissolve more tea and evaporate water. The correct answer is to allow tea leaves to settle. That's a sedimentation, then decant. Right? So that's the reason. The explanation is The sedimentation causes heavier particles to settle, and decondenation then separates liquid and settled solids. Fine. 27th question. Which method would you use separate mixture of rice flour, that is fine, and small stones? Magnetic separation, sieving, filtering, and evaporation. The answer is sieving. Okay, and sieving separates liquid, solid, and then different particle size, and stones larger than remains in the sieve. 28th question. Which material would make it best common filter in muddy water and low cost model? Metal sheet with the larger holes, cloth, muslin, sand, and charcoal, open basket, plastic. So correct answer is B, muslin cloth, sand, and charcoal. So layering cloth, sand, and charcoal provides progressively a finer particle filtration muddy water as suggested in the activities. And 29th question. It's a true or false. Desiltation is described as a standard method of recover both salt water from the salt solution. It is of course false, because it is evaporation method is the method we have to get it, right? Fine. 30th question. Which of the following is not an example of magnetic separation? Carpenter removing nails from sawdust, recyclers using magnets to cranes to remove scrap iron, using magnet to separate dust from floor, and fishing with a magnet in a classroom. So the correct answer is, that is wrong one, is using magnet to separate dust from floor, because dust from magnets won't separate non-magnetic dust from the floor. 31st question. Which keywords the best fits in the process of letting a liquid leave as vapor leaving behind dissolved solid? Sedimentation, evaporation, filtration, sieving. The correct answer is evaporation. Explanation is, evaporation converts liquid into vapor, leaving dissolved solids behind. And 32nd question. Piling and covering water make a portable part of the which combined approach of sedimentation, filtration, boiling, sieving, magnetic separation, churning, decondenation, and winnowing and sieving. The correct answer is sedimentation, filtration, and boiling. So example, the explanation is, settling, filtering, and boiling helps to purify the water. 33rd question. Which separation method is illustrated by a fisherman net allowing water to pass through catching fish? Filtration, that's a mesh, winnowing, evaporation, and magnetic. It is a filtration, it is a mesh, right? So the net acts like a coarse filter, and water passes through. Fish is a larger item, it is retained in the net. 34th question. White tea bags are traditionally made from silk or muslin. They react chemically with the tea. They have pores and let water to pour through the whole leaves. They dissolve hot water. They are magnetic. The correct answer is, they have pores to let water to through, right? But holds a leaf. So silk or muslin have smaller pores and were strong and allowing infusion while holding the tea leaves. So that's the reason. 35th question. Which of these are correct sequence? It's a correct sequence separating mixture of iron, nails, and sand and water. A. Filtration, magnetic separation, evaporation, magnetic separation, sieving, hand picking, magnetic separation, sieving to remove sand and hand picking, decondenation, churning, and filtering. The correct answer is C. Magnetic separation, sieving to remove the sand, and hand picking, pepper. Right? Explanation: remove nails with a magnet, sieves of particles stand, then hand pick remaining larger item like pepper. Then 36th question. Which activity helps students to design a low-cost water filter? Peanut rubbing, folding filter paper, play games, and evaporation method. The correct answer is folding filter paper. Right? Folding filter paper makes a cone with filtering muddy water. 37th question. Which is primary reason for removing stones from the grains before cooking? to make food magnetic, to make grains fit for cooking and safe to eat, and to change the color of the grain, dissolve stones in water. Actually, it is to fit for cooking. B is the answer. Removing stones prevents injury, enables, ensures edible quality. And 38th question. Which of these is a limitation in decantation? It requires electricity. It cannot completely remove the fine suspended particle. It is too fast, changes chemical composition. The correct answer is it cannot completely remove the fine suspended particles. Actually, decantation may leave some residue. Filtration gives better clarity. Fine. And 39th question. According to this chapter, what everyday objects act like a sieve in construction? Magnet, a mesh or a screen used to separate pebbles and stones in stand, teapot, china dish. The correct answer is a mesh or a screen used to separate pebbles and stones from stand. Explanation: the construction sieve separate larger pebbles and stones from the coarser grains. Rice. Fine. Then 40th question. Which method is the best to separate soluble impurity of salt water and onto components back? Evaporation, filtration, desiltation, and sieving. So this is not there in the chapter, so it is desiltation. Desiltation, that is to recover both relevant and soluble salt, needs a distillation, and simple evaporation needs to give the solid. 41st question. A mixture of mustard oil and lemon water is given. Which is the correct immediate method to separate? Filtration, decantation, sieving, and magnetic separation. It is decantation, right? So it's oil and water layers. So decantation separates top in oil and bottom is the water. Then 42nd question. A community activity, students interviewing rack pickers. The main learning objectives: learn advanced chemistry, understand practical separation methods of real life waste storage, sorting, and build a thresher machine and learn map reading. The correct answer is understand the practical separation of methods in real life waste sorting or waste management. So the interview helps the students to learn how informal recycle separates from sorting and magnet and all these things. Then 43rd question. The process in which heavier insoluble particles settle down the bottom of the liquid: filtration, sedimentation, decantation, evaporation. It is called sedimentation. The sedimentation occurs when heavier solid particles in a liquid settle due to gravity, and it is a first step before decantation. 45th question. Which of the following mixture cannot be separated by hand picking? Stones from ice, pulses from small stones, salt from sand, and iron nails from sawdust. Salt from sand cannot be taken because salt dissolves in water, cannot be removed by hand picking. It needs evaporation or filtration, right? 46th question. Assertion. Evaporation can be used to separate salt from seawater. Reason. Salt does not evaporate, and while water changes into vapor when it is heated. Both A and R are true or is explanation to A. Both A and R are true or is not explanation to A. A true or false, A false or true. The correct answer is both A and R are true or is the correct explanation for A. So that is known. Of course, salt remains as a residue when it does not evaporate. Water turns into vapor, leaving the salt behind. Then 47th question. Choose the correct statement. Sieving separates mixtures of salt in different sizes. Threshing removes a grain from husk using air. Winnowing separates lighter husk using wind. So codes 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, and all the above. The correct answer is 1 and 3 only. 1 and 3 only. So that is sieving and winnowing. Sieving and winnowing. Both are true. Correct statements. So threshing once and beating the machines and remove grain from stalks, not air, and winnowing uses air, right? And sieving depends upon the particle size. So the last one is that based on the concept application, this question is given. It is the model where you have been telling about it. It's a concept application. A salt solution left uncovered in the shallow plate of water under sunlight, and after 2 days, white crystals are seen. Which process has taken place? Sedimentation, filtration, evaporation, decantation. The truth is, it is evaporation. So water evaporates due to sunlight and leaving the salt crystals behind, demonstrating evaporation as a separation method, right? So it's a total 48 questions, and so what we have seen is the NCERT book based questions and multiple choice questions of 6th standard science chapter 9, methods of separation in everyday life. And in the book it looks the methods of separation in everyday life, 6th standard science, right? So thank you very much for listening, and we'll come up with the next chapter soon. Thank you very much.
வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க, பெல் ஐக்கன் பிரஸ் பண்ண மறந்து போயிடாதீங்க. அப்பதான் நாங்க போஸ்ட் பண்ற வீடியோவோட நோட்டிஃபிகேஷன் உங்களுக்கு வரும்.